Yes, sir. Thank you for joining me. Now, the history of hemp and marijuana in America is not just the story of a plant. It's the story of a nation's shifting values, driven by power, profit, and prejudice. What began as a celebrated resource became the target of fear, misinformation, and systemic oppression. Today, we'll uncover how racism and capitalism worked hand in hand to make cannabis illegal, how prohibition created a black market targeted by the war on drugs, and how legalization is changing the landscape of justice, economics, and society. Let's start at the beginning. Hemp has been cultivated for thousands of years. In colonial America, it was essential. Its strong fibers were used for rope, sails, and clothing, which was critical for the new fledgling nation. In fact, some colonies required farmers to grow hemp to support the economy. Now, the founding fathers were big fans too. George Washington and Thomas Jefferson both grew it, and the Declaration of Independence was likely drafted on hemp paper. Hemp was indispensable until it wasn't.
Let's cut to the chase. I found a joint in the basement. Anyone gonna fess up?
It's mine, okay?
See what you've done?
Mom, you should have aborted him!
What's next, James? Killing us in our sleep? Wearing our guts as accessories?
You're tearing this family apart!
This is lame. I'm out of here.
Whoa, pal. You're not going anywhere.
Jeez, guys! It was only once!
Not even once. 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 Not even once!
By the early 20th century, hemp found itself in the crosshairs. Competing industries like timber and synthetic materials saw hemp as a threat, but they needed more than competition to take it down. They needed a villain. Enter marijuana. Racist rhetoric played a major role. In the 1930s, Mexican immigrants introduced recreational marijuana use to the US, and the government quickly tied the plant to immigrants and Black Americans. Sensationalist media claimed marijuana caused violence and moral decay. This article was printed in Chicago in the year 1935. It says, "Beware, young and old, people in all walks of life. This may be handed to you," showing an image of a joint, "by the friendly stranger. It contains the killer drug marijuana, a powerful narcotic in which lurks murder, insanity, and death. Warning, dope peddlers are shrewd. They may put some of this drug in the tea or in the tobacco cigarette." Addressed Interstate Narcotic Association, Chicago, Illinois, USA, 1935. Or take a look at this flyer advertising the movie Marijuana, which was produced in the 1930s. It reads, "Daring drug expose, shame, horror, despair. Marijuana, weed with roots in hell. Not recommended for children. Misery, weird orgies, wild parties, unleashed passions." Harry Anslinger, the head of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics, spearheaded this campaign. His efforts led to the Marijuana Tax Act of 1937, which effectively criminalized both hemp and marijuana. It wasn't about public safety, It was about profit and prejudice. Decades later, marijuana prohibition became a cornerstone of the war on drugs. In 1971, President Nixon declared drug abuse public enemy number one. But the war on drugs wasn't about health or safety. It was about control.
America's public enemy number one in the United States is drug abuse. In order to fight and defeat this enemy, it is necessary to wage a new all-out offensive. I have asked the Congress to provide the legislative authority and the funds to fuel this kind of an offensive. This will be a worldwide offensive dealing with the problems of sources of supply as well as Americans who may be stationed abroad wherever they are in the world. It will be government-wide, pulling together the 9 different fragmented areas within the government in which this problem is now being handled. And it will be nationwide in terms of a new educational program that we trust will result from the discussions that we have had. With regard to this offensive, it is necessary first to have a new organization. And the new organization will be within the White House. Dr. Jaffe, who will be one of the briefers here today, will be the man directly responsible. He will report directly to me. And he will have the responsibility to take all of the government agencies, 9, that deal with the problems of rehabilitation, in which his primary responsibilities will be research and education, and see that they work not at cross purposes, but work together in dealing with the problem. If we're going to have a successful offensive, we need more money. Consequently, I'm asking the Congress for $155 million in new funds, which will bring the total amount this year in the budget for drug abuse, both in enforcement and treatment, to over $350 million. As far as the new money is concerned, incidentally, I have made it clear to the leaders that if this is not enough, if more can be used, if Dr. Jaffe, after studying this problem, finds that we can use more, more will be provided. In order to defeat this enemy, which is causing such great concern, and correctly so, to so many American families, money will be provided to the extent that it is necessary and to the extent that it will be useful. And finally, in order for this program to be effective, it is necessary that it be conducted on a basis in which the American people all join in it. That's why the meeting was bipartisan. Bipartisan because we needed the support of the Congress, but bipartisan because we needed the leadership of members of the Congress in this field. Fundamentally, it is essential for the American people to be alerted to this danger, to recognize that it is a danger that will not pass with the passing of the war in Vietnam, which has brought to our attention the fact that a number of young Americans have become addicts as they serve abroad, whether in Vietnam or Europe or other places. Because the problem existed before we became involved in Vietnam, it will continue to exist afterwards, and that is why this offensive deals with the problem there in Europe, but will then go on to deal with the problem throughout America. One final word with regard to presidential responsibility in this respect. I very much hesitate always to bring some new responsibility into the White House, because there are so many here, and I believe in delegating those responsibilities to the departments. But I consider this problem so urgent. I also found that it was scattered so much throughout the government, with so much conflict, without coordination, that it had to be brought into the White House, and consequently, I have brought Dr. Jaffe into the White House, directly reporting to me, so that we have not only the responsibility, but the authority to see that we wage this offensive effectively.
John Ehrlichman, one of Nixon's advisors, admitted years later, "We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be black or against the war, but by criminalizing marijuana, we could disrupt those communities." Documented by CNN, one article reads, "The Nixon campaign in 1968 and the Nixon White House after that had two enemies, the anti-war left and black people." Former Nixon domestic police chief John Ehrlichman told Harper's writer Dan Baum for the April cover story published Tuesday, "You understand what I'm saying. We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the war or black, but by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt those communities, Ehrlichman said. We could arrest their leaders, raid their homes, break up their meetings, and vilify them night after night on the evening news. Did we know we were lying about the drugs? Of course we did. The impact was devastating. Black and brown Americans faced disproportionate arrests and harsher sentences for minor marijuana offenses. Families were torn apart and cycles of poverty deepened. Meanwhile, marijuana use continued, and now it's thriving in a black market created by prohibition. Now, prohibition didn't stop marijuana use. It just pushed it underground. The black market flourished, giving law enforcement a reason to heavily police marginalized communities. Black Americans were nearly 4 times more likely to be arrested for marijuana possession than white Americans, despite similar usage rates. This wasn't about justice. It was about systemic targeting. And the costs were staggering. Mass incarceration strained community relations, and billions of dollars were wasted on law enforcement.
Look, there's no denying drugs are terrible. But what we learned during Prohibition is that just because something is bad for you, even deadly, making it a crime doesn't solve the problem. We spend $50 billion a year on the drug war. And right now we have about 500,000 people locked up on drug charges. Every politician declares they're starting a war on drugs, which I guess gets them some votes, but there is as much meth, cocaine, heroin, and all the others as there's ever been. I believe that the war on drugs has been a complete failure. By making drugs illegal, we have empowered violent cartels here and in Mexico that kill and maim and torture thousands. Do you know that in Mexico, more than 60,000 people have been killed by these cartels since 2006? I mean, if nothing else, legalizing these substances eliminates the violence. And also, we can regulate the product that way to minimize the number of people killed by it. But what's worse is we made criminals out of millions of Americans that choose to consume this stuff. When I was a prosecutor, I hated to see some high school kid get sent to prison for years because he sold a couple tabs of LSD at a Grateful Dead concert. I mean, if deadheads want to smoke, snort, or shoot up something, they're going to do it whether it's legal or illegal. Hey, when it comes to the drug war, I believe it is time to surrender.
In the 2010s, the tide began to turn. States like Colorado and Washington legalized recreational marijuana, showing that regulation could work. The benefits were undeniable. Legalization created jobs, reduced black market activity, and funded public programs like education and infrastructure. In some states, marijuana taxes even support addiction recovery and mental health services. And the social impact? Well, fewer marijuana-related arrests, and some states began expunging past convictions, giving people a second chance at life. Yet, not all states are moving forward. In Texas, for example, lawmakers are working to criminalize THC products right now today, like Delta 8, despite growing public support for legalization. Tennessee and Kentucky are also considering similar moves. These efforts risk undoing progress, perpetrating outdated policies rooted in fear rather than fact. Meanwhile, neighboring states are reaping the benefits of legalization, economically and socially.
Chairman Hughes, Senators, thank you for your time. I've yet to hear an accurate number regarding what SB 3 will cost the state of Texas. SB 3 is a killer by design meant to destroy an industry legalized in Texas in 2019 and federally in 2018. There are two very important numbers to consider. The first is simple to calculate and is based on the state's sales and use tax rate of 6.25%. The Texas hemp industry had $4.1 billion in sales in 2024. $4.1 billion times 6.25% equals just over $256 million in state retail sales tax revenue. Keep in mind that does not include the variable local sales and use tax that will also be lost and will impact local budgets throughout the state. The second number is the unemployment cost of firing 49,000 employees in the Texas hemp industry as of 2024. The average hourly wage reflective of these 49,000 employees is $19.17 per hour. Using the Texas Workforce Commission's unemployment benefits estimator, the estimated total possible benefits per employee is $10,374 over a period of 26 weeks. $10,374 times 49,000 employees is just over $508 million that the state of Texas will be responsible for paying to law-abiding citizens left unemployed thanks to SB 3. Between the lost sales tax revenue and the unemployment benefits cost, SB 3 has the potential to cost the state of Texas more than $764 million. Again, $764 million in the 12 months following the implementation of SB 3. Voting in support of SB 3 will also mean voting to cost the state of Texas $764 million in unnecessary costs. Thank you for your time. I'm happy to answer questions.
Now, the history of hemp and marijuana in America is one of injustice and resilience. Today, legalization is proving that these plants are more than their stigma. They're an opportunity for economic growth, criminal justice reform, and healing the harms of prohibition. But the progress isn't guaranteed. As some states embrace change, others cling to the past, keeping policies rooted in misinformation and prejudice.
Welcome. Introduce yourself and give us your testimony.
My name is John Jowers. I am representing the Department of Texas VFW as the State Assistant Adjutant, also as myself, a disabled combat Marine. For 13 years, I've been battling many mental and physical injuries, with countless doctors and specialists attempting to treat these injuries with a myriad of prescription drug cocktails, to a point I was taking nearly 10,000 pills a year. 4 years ago, I began using high-quality hemp-derived consumables. Within just 2 months, I was off all prescription medications except my diabetes meds. The 11 drug interactions that once sent me to ERs and hospitals simply vanished. I transformed from a man burdened by thousands of pills into a high-functioning individual, a better husband, father, and person, all thanks to these products. I stand before you today to ask, please do not ban a product that has given me and countless others a second chance at life. A product that has been safely used for over 4,700 years. While we support increased regulations to ensure quality and safety, an outright ban could be a death sentence. Before legal hemp-derived consumables entered my life, the medications prescribed for my suicidal ideations pushed me dangerously closer to giving up, resulting in failed suicide attempts. Legal hemp-derived consumables are not just a reason to sit around and get high. They are the reason that I'm not just another statistic today. I respectfully urge you, give us the choice. Increase regulations if necessary, but do not ban a product that has helped veterans and non-veterans reclaim our lives. When you sent us to war, you gave us the best weapons possible. Don't make us fight the battles of everyday life without the one weapon that we know is the best.
Hey guys, we reached the end of the video. If you've gotten any value from watching, be sure to hit the thumbs up button to boost us in the algorithm and help our message reach a wider audience. Also, if you haven't done so already, be sure to smash the subscribe button for more content just like this. I see that 86% of my viewers are not subscribed, so I would encourage you to hit the subscribe button. Also, if you really want to help support myself and the channel, visit the links in the description for ways how. That being said, I appreciate you all joining me, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
3.
Hey man, you know what it is, man. Shout out to Fried Time Media.
Fried Time Media.
Make sure you go subscribe. You did.
Fried Time Media, baby.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Fried Time Media. Smash the subscribe and the like button.
I done ran up all these bands up in hand and made like 5 bands a day. I was broke, came up with a plan, now I'm the man, there ain't no stopping me. I done ran up all these bands up in hand and made like 5 bands a day. I was broke, came up with a plan, now I'm the man, there ain't no stopping me. It ain't no stopping me. Got bands, I'ma run it up, it ain't no stopping me.